Welcome back. Joining us via Skype from New York is media contributor, civil rights activist, and the creator of Thrive Over 35, Ashlee Marie Preston.
Ashlee, thank you so much for joining us to discuss LGBTQ rights and specifically transgender rights. You know, this year alone, there have been 10 murders of Black trans women in the United States. Why has this group been so marginalized?
There is someone by the name of Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw. She's a professor at UCLA, and she coined the term intersectionality in 1989, and it describes multiple threats of discrimination when an individual's identity overlaps with multiple marginalized groups. So as Black trans women, we're never going to experience discrimination on a single axis, but we experience multi-tier marginalization simultaneously. So that definitely contributes to our exponential vulnerability to violence.
So Ashlee, tell us what needs to happen at the federal level so that we can start seeing some changes here.
We need a task force. Much like intersectionality, as I described, we can't look at barriers to access on a single axis. We have to take into consideration that employment, housing, medical needs, legal aid, social support, all of those areas are opportunities that need to be examined simultaneously. So if you are suffering with employment, if you don't have housing, that's not going to do anything for that job that you just got because you're not going to be able to maintain it. If you are navigating substance abuse, housing isn't going to do anything unless you have services and resources that are going to help you through that. So I think that the federal government needs to be more intentional about investing in historically disenfranchised communities and look at a multi-pronged approach to how they're going to address those needs.
Right, it needs to be targeted and a little bit more specific.
Right.
Can you describe a little bit of your hashtag Thrive Over 35 social media campaign for us?
I would love to. It makes me feel so happy when I think about hashtag Thrive Over 35. The estimated life expectancy of a Black trans woman is only 35 years old, and media has a tendency to run this trauma porn about our lives and who we are and how we die and at the hands of who we die to. And Thrive Over 35 is an opportunity for Black trans women to reimagine our lives outside of an open casket or a jail cell. It's an opportunity to examine some of those barriers to access that place us in front of the barrel of the gun. And it's an opportunity to underscore the light, love, and humanity that we possess. I think that many people don't know much about Black trans women, or many Americans still have never met a trans person. So it's an opportunity to work collaboratively with community organizations, elected officials, and really have a sincere, genuine dialogue about what needs to happen in order to help trans people thrive, but more specifically, trans women of color.
So tell us a little bit about your collaboration with the Black Lives Matter at the LA parade this year.
Absolutely. I think right now, the country is in a weird place where we're all competing for liberation. I think that many of us are subscribing to this single slice ideology that has us convinced that we can't have our own needs met while addressing the needs of others. And so Patrisse Cullors, who is a friend and co-founder of Black Lives Matter, and I got together and had a conversation about some of the struggles that cisgender Black women and Black trans women have that parallel. And so it was an opportunity for us to unpack that power in numbers. And it was an opportunity to commit to one another that we would show up for one another and that no one will be left behind. I remember being younger and hearing stories that all the good kids got the shiny toys, and if you were a bad kid, you got a stocking full of coal. And then I grew up and I realized that even if you are a good person, life will still hand you coal. And so there came a point in my activism where I thought to myself, if life gives me coal, I'm going to build coalitions. And that was an opportunity with myself and Black Lives Matter to pull our resources together and see what good we can do in the world.
I'm taking that phrase, coal to coalitions. That's activism right there. For people who want to get involved and know more about the trans community, how can they be an ally? Where's the best place for them to go?
There are innumerable resources online. You can go to HRC, you can go to Equality California or any of their satellite city sites. You can go to the Transgender Law Center. But I think more importantly, talk to a trans person, find out what their need is individually, because we aren't a monolith, and one way of showing up for me may look different for another trans person. And more importantly, educate your peers. Oftentimes we're tasked with our own survival while also having to educate other people. So as an ally, once you've explored those resources, you've learned a couple of our struggles and challenges and the terminology, share it with somebody else. Sharing is caring. So I think that the best way to be an ally is to show up, ask what we need, do your homework, and then take on the labor of love to educate someone else.
Well said.
Yes, right. Ashlee, thank you so much for being on the show with us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All the best to you.
Really
Thank
appreciate it. Still to come, we're going to discuss some rare collectibles and what they're worth with collector Bob Young.
Start thinking about all that stuff in your attic. You never know, it might be worth something. We'll be right back.